Be human.
Imagine you could get a shot and be vaccinated against stress. Well, a study has recently been published showing that there is a soil-based bacterium that decreased stressful reactions in mice. The researchers injected the rodents with this bacterium prior to exposing them to a stressful event, and the shots both prevented a PTSD-like syndrome in the short term and diminished stress reactions later on. This study helped build out the hypothesis that this bacterium harbors compounds that tune down the fight or flight response in mammals, and it's believed it's related to certain chemicals that cause inflammation in the rodents and potentially humans. So there may be a stress vaccine closer to becoming a real thing. Emma Kate, what do you make of this study? And then would you even consider getting a stress vaccination for yourself down the road?
So I'll answer the second question first.
Okay.
If circumstances were necessary and that was a required treatment approach that my physician was recommending, I would consider it. But I have concerns, which this particular study even mentioned. So, there's mixed feelings here where if in severe circumstances your body cannot settle down, and we have started to learn a lot more about inflammation, and we're going to continue to see more developments in this area and how it's related to mental health disorders. But so, for example, somebody struggling with PTSD, this sounds like it could be huge and wonderful and tremendously impactful and beneficial. But stress in and of itself can't be viewed as something that's bad all the time, because without it, we put ourselves at risk. It protects us from danger and it motivates us. So, the other piece to this too is if we take a pill or if we get a shot, something like this, then we're actually not always getting at the root cause of the issue. And so my fear is that if we're not looking at the patterns of our behaviors and our thinking and not addressing that issue first, then it's just going to come back.
I would 100% agree with it. Part of what my concern is, like Emma Kate says, there's some people with some conditions that their autonomic nervous system and it's just shot and they need all the help they can get. So something like that would be awesome. But part of my concern is we've seen this spike in anxiety related disorders, in stress related disorders. And part of that no doubt comes from the fact that people are not developing resiliency around stress. And that's just like the way you build muscle through.
How would you know, Dave?
Well, I mean, hypothetically, okay. it'd be, that's what I've heard. Okay. But it's the same thing. If you want to be a more resilient person, you experience stress and you develop ways of coping with that. And if you don't develop the ways of coping with it, or if you don't allow yourself to feel stress, then you don't have that sort of ability to fend it off or to deal with it well. So my concern is that it's another sort of biological approach to something that's we're not really equipping people to be really resilient in the face of it. Now, for certain people, I think they're just at a spot where they really need it. But for most of us, I think it's a bad idea.
I think it would be phenomenal for special forces and military people and first responders, EMTs, those kinds of people.
Yeah.
But the thing that I took away from this article that has nothing to do with what we're talking about,
Okay.
Of course,
Here it comes,
is the idea that they got this from bacteria in dirt. And I am fascinated by all the stuff that we're going to find in the, what's it called in Siberia, the permafrost that's melting. And what kind of crap is going to show up that's, 20 million years, and can that kill us or save us? So that's where my brain went.
Absolutely. I mean, growing up, dirt was Frank's best friend.
It was. He faced
his
a lot
only
of it.
friend, right?
Yeah.
What's good enough for a rodent is good enough for me. That's kind of how I think about it. But, let's really make this intervention something that helps them build resiliency. by the time you're an adult, you've had so many shots, right? Some people are really afraid of needles and shots, but for others, they've gotten the flu shot, they get immunization. Let's make it a suppository, that it's a stress suppository. And then that is really something like, if you don't want this going up the
What is
you got to
happening?
build some resilience.
We just lost
We lost Ederly. He went off
just lost him.
You just
Right? I'd be like,
fell
I don't
right
want
off a cliff here.
I don't want the stress suppository. I will face my fears.
Totally drove off the cliff.
Okay, so let me gently bring that back and
Right,
comment
between
that
the two of them.
between them. No, but so somebody said something. Oh, Dave, you said something about how we really need to build our coping skills, to build resiliency. And so one way to frame that is coping skills are often thought as a tool to get rid of discomfort and to get rid of stress and worry. But really, we need to view it from a different lens and view coping skills as a way to approach the things that we are afraid of, to move through them, to allow that discomfort so that our body gets wired and relearns, oh, okay, this is something I can handle. And then you think about it that way too.
Well, and this is related, but when we're looking more and more about inflammation, I want more research looking at our modern diet and its implications and why people are less happy and more stressed, because I really feel like we're living in an epidemic of obesity and horrible eating habits and lack of exercise, and we see sleep quality, like all these measurements are down. And what's the relationship in terms of inflammation based upon our diet and activity levels?
Probably a lot.
Probably a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And I'll predict it now. I think our model in this culture in the United States is more reactive than proactive for problems. And I think we are slowly ticking towards a proactive, preventative approach for life, knowing that all of this technology that causes a lot of stress, a lot of other factors that are completely out of our control, we're going to figure out how do we work through that before it becomes this overwhelming issue.
Thanks for watching this Being Human segment from the Shrink Tank podcast. To watch the full episode, click here, or to check out previous episodes, click here.